Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And welcome back to another Hancock's VMware Half Hour. In a part 3 in our DIY Unraid NAS using our Intel NUC Extreme 11th gen. Anyway, so this is this part 3 really, I wasn't actually going to do it. But a number of people actually basically requested what sort of power requirements does the Intel NUC Extreme use. So I thought, okay, well, here at Hancock's VMware Half Hour, we've got a power meter. So I've sort of kind of jerry-rigged my iPhone 7 using NDI again on the floor, actually held together using a honey bucket, which is full of honey, which I'm going to need to jar later. So honey buckets, 35 kilo honey buckets do come in handy if you have them around. So without further ado, this is what we've got here in the lab. Hopefully this will all go smoothly and it won't go Pete Tong. There we go. So underneath me, underneath this glorious, lovely blue, royal blue, I think, Experts Exchange Summer Challenge t-shirt, you can see that I have a power meter. Now, it would have actually basically just gone off at that moment. Just one moment. There we go. Oh, hang on. Let's just do the right function so you can see. Okay. So at the moment there's no cost. Our electricity in the UK is about 23 pence a kilowatt hour. Yeah, it's absolutely extortionate. So that cost, if it was actually basically calculating any cost, it would actually show the true cost of actually powering up this Intel NUC. So all I'm going to concentrate today in this video is really the power requirements. Like I could have just posted a note and said, yeah, well, it uses 38.6 watts or 35.5 watts. But that's not necessarily true, to be honest with you. And as you can see on the screen there, I have been using OCCT to stress test the particular machine. And again, I just wanted really a good feeling, belts and braces. If I'm going to use this 24/7 365 as a NAS using Unraid, then I want to really ensure that the processor doesn't overheat, the RAM is okay and stable, and everything else. You know, the last thing that I want is putting live virtual machines, production workloads onto this Intel NUC and it craps out all the time. You know, that wasn't the purpose, and that's often the reason why we purchase branded NASs here. As I said before, Synology and Dell's and HPE SANs and things like that, because they work. Of course, one of the risks when you actually basically start doing homebrew stuff is that you do get into issues. Although saying that, back in 2010, I stood up a NAS. I think I called it Skynet Mega NAS, I think I called it. When that was actually based Solaris, Oracle Solaris, and we were using ZFS with SSDs and spinning Rust, but we had SSDs, ZIL and ARC, and the performance of that thing really based on a HPE ProLiant micro server N36L. I still got it today. It's off now, but in terms of the life that it served and the VMs it served, I actually really think that it was actually far faster than some of the Synology NASs that we have here, where they've got far more spinning disks, spinning Rust in them than what that had. Anyway, okay, maybe later, if I remember, if all goes well, I'll show you what that NAS, that old NAS, looks like. Anyway, so as you can see, 35.1, 41.0 watts, which we'll sort of kind of say is idle. And I just really wanted to show you that I have actually basically tested this in the last hour. But what we'll do, we'll shut down and restart, and you can actually basically see the whole process of restarting this NUC And the sort of kind of power requirements, because it's quite interesting really when you sort of kind of look at it, that I noticed that when this NUC goes idle into standby, it takes about 31 watts. But interestingly, when you actually basically shut down and restart it, so I want to accept, all I was doing is big X out there, and it asked me to accept the license agreement. Anyway, so I'm going to shut down and restart this and go through the entire boot process, and you can actually basically see in real time the actual power requirements that this uses, because I was actually quite surprised to see that on boot up it was sort of kind of getting up to about 141 watts, 150 watts, which surprised me, to be honest. There we go, like 133, 134 watts just there initially at boot. We drop back down to 59. Really what I need to do is get a Jeff Gerling power meter that I can do lovely graphs with. We've got lots of them around, but I'm not quite sure whether or not that they'll actually output that information right in a nice way. But anyway, so at boot, initially, so now, we're at about 40 watts again. So let's just select our Windows 11 installation. So we're at 117 watts, 104 watts, 144 watts, 128, 131. So anyway, you can see it there on screen. So let's just log in. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to kick off this OCCT stress test again. I'm not looking at the screen there, so you can look at that. Let's just go run some OCCT again. Maybe it didn't actually install. Maybe it's just it was downloaded in Edge. Don't normally use Edge. Not really a fan of it, to be honest with you. So let's just open up OCCT again and run it. What are we looking at? 63. I accept. Minimize that. Anyway, so let's just start up. Okay, 79 watts, 78 watts, 69 watts. So I'm just going to basically just do CPU and RAM 1 hour, and I'm just going to hit start. I'm going to wait for it to count down, and we'll see what the wattage is, which I think was about 150 watts. So there we go, we're running, and there we go, 153 watts of power when we're actually basically running this particular stress test. And you can actually basically see all the cores there now, increasing 160 watts. Okay, so in answer to your question, I think one of the viewers of the channel that asked a question was Ed. So Ed, c'est la vie. In answer to your question, I think we're looking at, between somewhere around 30 watts idle to worst case 160 watts. And now we've sort of kind of dropped back down there to 116 watts at full test. You can see there that CPU's climbing slowly, 69.7 watts TDP, 100% use at 3.7 gigahertz as we stress test. 23 pence a kilowatt hour. All those watts add up, because electricity is certainly not cheap in the UK. I don't really think that it's gonna come down. So really, that's all really I had in this video, which was prompted really by people actually asking, what sort of power requirements. We've still got this baby to install. Which is our Dell branded, this one. Dell branded X710-DA2. And again, this has been picked out of the bin. So I've no idea whether or not that it works. So our next video in part 4, part 4, we'll be quickly installing this in our box. And we can do that, and I can show you how I do that with my thick fingers. We'll power up the box again running Windows 11 just to check that it sees the device and it's detected. And then we'll move on and we'll put Unraid, although when I say we'll put Unraid, I've got a USB flash drive, I think with the latest version of Unraid, and a lifetime license on it. We'll put that, we'll connect that up, and we'll boot that for the first time, and we'll see what sort of chaos that's going to cause here at Hancock's VMware half hour. So we're still ticking there. We've not burnt up yet. One of the things that I had forgotten actually is that a lot of the time I basically put stuff, when I say put stuff, my notebook, I've got an old-fashioned A4 type scrap notebook that I scribble things in and make notes, and I did actually basically just chuck this on the top of the NUC, and then I actually basically thought to myself, well, that's actually a bad idea because that's where the fans are, and I can't remember. Steve at Gamers Nexus, if I can find the video I'll put it in the description, but Steve at Gamers Nexus does a fantastic well, a teardown of the Intel NUC Extreme 11th Gen, where he actually basically takes it all apart. And I can't remember, he did discuss the airflow on the unit. Certainly, I think it's pulling air in from the back plane with that fan shroud that I showed you in. Power's gone off again. Just let me go on the floor. Just press that button. There we go. Yeah, Gamers Nexus discusses the fan flow that, as we've seen in part 1, there's that plastic shroud that basically is pulling air in from the back of the unit into the compute unit, and he talks about negative pressure as well in the case. So I can't remember if it's actually pulling air in from the top or blowing it out. But certainly I did notice earlier when I was running this test with my notebook on the top that it was a bit warmer than this. So don't actually basically put anything on the top of the NUC is the answer to that. Like, these temperatures actually are far better. Before, you know, we were at 89 degrees C. So me actually basically putting this notebook on the top of the NUC and completely forgetting about the fact that on the top there are the fans. I'm just going to see whether or not that are they blowing. Hang on, I'm going to get a piece of A4 paper many years ago, and back in the 90s, mid early 90s, we had a contractor visit the data center. I can't remember what he was doing now specifically, but anyway, we had a contractor that came into the data center, and we had some temperature alerts on some of the servers, and we thought it was a bit odd. We thought maybe at time the air conditioning plant had failed, but we actually went into the data center and we actually basically found that the engineer was actually basically using the servers in the rack as a paper holder, and he had his notes up stuck against the server. And of course, if you actually basically put a piece of paper against a server with high airflow, it sticks to it. And that's what he was doing. He was there typing away on the keyboard, and he just had a piece of paper stuck on the front there, using it as a paper holder. And he thought nothing of it when we came in and said, excuse me, the servers are overheating. And yeah, the bulb didn't even light his head. Anyway, okay. So the paper test is actually blowing. Yeah, so the actual air is blowing out the top of the NUC, and it's actually being, I think that it is actually being sucked in through the front of the fan. Yeah, definitely being sucked in through the front, through the sides, and being expelled at the top. So, stupid me, bad idea, sticking a notebook on the top because it can't blow the air out, and all that hot air is actually going to stay inside. So that's why. Maybe this is the reason why they're actually basically seeing 116 watts and not 150 that I think I saw before, 150 or 160, because maybe those fans are working a little bit harder. Anyway, stupid me. Anyway, there we go. We learn something every day. Anyway, so that's it. And this impromptu part 3 of the power requirements of the Intel NUC Extreme 11th Gen Edition. And I would expect maybe the power requirements are probably going to increase slightly when we add our network interface into that PCI expansion slot. Everything just falls off desk. I wouldn't have thought that we're going to see much increase in power requirements by adding another 2 NVMe sticks. But maybe that's something that we can come back and we can try and we can have a little look and we can contrast and compare. I'm just actually basically having a little look at, is a PCIe NVMe to PCIe card here that's got an NVMe stick on it. And I've no idea what size that is, or even what's on it. So maybe it's actually basically time to borrow that. Stick that in the box as well. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching another Hancock's VMware half hour on a very grey Sunday afternoon here in North Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. And all I can say is come back in part 4 when we actually basically bob in our network interface card on our slow burn journey into building homebrew NAS on an Intel NUC Extreme 11th Gen Edition. So once again, thank you very much, and be kind, work hard. Bye bye.